Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's short video tutorial. This will be a weekly commentary in English of the top 50 brevities. It was a series that ran in the periodical Qiyi back in 2008 to 2009. And this will be the 40th board. There were 50 brevities in all, and we are coming to the end very soon. And this match was played in 2006 in the Chinese National Xiangqi Individual Championships. Red was up-and-coming Master Wang Yang, who later became a national champion of his own, and his opponent was Master Liao Erping from Zhejiang. I've had the honor or privilege of meeting with Master Liao Erping before. He's a very jovial person. We had some laughs and I liked him very much. Okay, so without further ado, let us see what the match, how the match went on. The central cannon, and because Red refused to develop his left chariot, Black continued with the left three-step tiger variation. So far these moves are considered orthodox. Now Red continued to develop his left flank, and Black played p7 plus 1, and Red, because Black had already developed his chariot as a file chariot, this file was not available for development. Red chose to play r1 plus 1 for the rank chariot variation. Another possible option would be to play c8 plus 2 for the riverbank cannon, which would be another huge, enormous opening system of its own. Now in this match, Black would usually continue with r8 plus 5 to add pressure on this pawn, targeting Red's left flank. And in this match, Grandmaster Wang Yang chose to be aggressive by playing p5 plus 1. The idea was that if Black captured the central pawn, the red horses would be developed from the central file. Now, another way of playing this variation would be to play e7 plus 9, whereby Black would play a prophylactic move, and Red will continue with r equals to 6. And there are many very complicated variations from here on. Okay, back to the board. And p5 plus 1 was played, whereby Black continued with the deferred opposite direction cannons. So the opening system was basically defined at this point. Black would have used the deferred opposite direction cannons, while Red would develop his chariot as a rank chariot. Now in the match, Grandmaster Wang Yang played p3 plus 1. Now this was considered to be a novelty at that point in time, because in the past, r1 equals to 4 was played instead. r1 equals to 4 was played, and Red will continue to develop his horses from the central file. As can be seen, now this would be a very aggressive variation. Training material, and Black would try to regain some advantage. Check. Trading pawns, and Red would choose to attack this flank. He would go for the heaven and earth cannons and prepare for a checkmate. Now Red would have the advantage, and it would still be too early to say who would win the game. So r1 equals to 4 was the way that the variation was played in the past. Now in this match, Grandmaster Wang Yang played p3 plus 1. Now in the book, in the magazine, in the match, Master Liao Erping played r8 plus 1. However, in retrospect, it would have been better for Black to have retreated his chariot to the riverbank to trade material. So, if that would be done, Red would be prepared. Red would take his time before capturing the pawn and develop his left flank. And now, since the left flank was developed, it would be time to capture the pawn. Black would try to gain back lost material. Red would attack in this manner from the side, and black would still have a playable game. Now the elephant would be a major issue, and black can be satisfied with this situation. Instead of r9 equals to 8, if h5 plus 3 were played too rapidly, these were the moves that were given in the magazine. Red will link their chariots together. And black would still also be able to hold its own. Now, this cannon will be a major threat. He'll be attacking the flank, although black would also have a very weak left flank. But overall, black would still have a playable game. So in the match, r8 minus 1 was advised. Now, black cannot be greedy and capture the pawn, or this chariot will be caught, because red would immediately play h7 plus 5 to threaten the chariot. Now, this chariot cannot move here or here because the red house will be covered. We would now could have covered these two intersections, and this moving into the h file would of course be not an option either. So the only way for black to move would be to play r7 plus 1, but red would simply capture the black chariot in this manner. So losing a chariot so early in the game, especially when black's material was still not developed, would be a terrible blow to black's position. So black can be considered to have a winning position from here on. So r8 plus 1 was played in the game, and this would perhaps mark the start of black's demise. Red will simply capture the pawn, forcing the chariot to try to trade material. Now, red will link his sources from the central file, and as can be seen, black would now have captured the offending red pawn, but there was already a loss in tempi at this point in time, which is why, as can be seen, by advancing the pawn, if black had simply retreated the chariot, if black retreated the chariot, if red had captured the traded pawns, black would not have wasted 2 extra moves, and the red's left leg would not have been developed. So that is why r8 minus 1 was advocated. Okay, so because after trading pawns, black would have wasted 2 moves. Now, red would now pounce on a chance to attack this flank. Now, red will further increase his advantage in this situation. Now, red would now prepare to play c8 equals to 3 to attack this very important file. Black will try to salvage the situation, and black will try to defend in this manner. So at this point in time, the main battleground would be this file for both colors. Now, in the match, Grandmaster Wang Yang chose to develop his left chariot as a rank chariot. Now, r9 equals to 8 as a file chariot to develop the left chariot as a file chariot would also be an option. Black would usually counter and develop his right flank also. And red would take the opportunity to change his formation. Red will still have the initiative in this position. So r9 equals to 8 would also be a viable option. But in the match, r9 equals plus 1 was played. Now, in response to black's developing the left chariot as a rank chariot, black also developed his chariot as a rank chariot. However, because red was the first to move, developing the rank chariot, developing the other black chariot as a rank chariot would not be so good an idea, because red would be able to choose the important lines before black could occupy it. So perhaps a better move would be p5 plus 1 for black to try to get some compensation of red's horses in the central file. So if this were played, red will usually have to counter with b5 plus 1, trading material, and as can be seen, it will take red much effort to win. So black will still have a very playable game, and that is why black should have tried to mount a counter attack from the central file instead of being stubborn and trying to salvage the situation on his file. So red would play r9 equals to 4 to target this flank and add even more pressure to black's left flank. Black will try to prevent the red chariot from being developed as r1 equals to 2. Threatening to gain material, protecting the horse. And it was at this point, since red could not develop his chariot as r1 equals to 2, he would decide to push the edge pawn forward to try to make mischief. Now this was a very brilliant move, as we will see very soon. Black would try to protect his horse. It's a prophylactic defensive move. And by trading material, by offering a trade of material, red would try to trade his closed chariot for black's rather open chariot. So h3 plus 1 was not a good idea because black would simply move the chariot away and offer a trade of chariots. And after trading chariots, red's right flank would be very contested and black would now command the initiative, which is why h3 plus 1 was not a good idea, but instead r1 plus 2 would be the correct or sound move to make in this situation. Now black accepted the trade. And black tried to go for the elbow horse attack. Now in the match, Grandmaster Wang Yang chose to play e1 plus 3, now which was a good move, because with e1 plus 3, red would not have to worry about his elephant on the bottom rank being under attack because it moved away, and moving the elephant over here would allow red to develop his horse as h1 plus 3 for the tiger-headed horse. So this would be a very nice, this would be to red's advantage. Now it would not be a good idea to trade material at this point in time because black would simply capture the elephant first and then capture the cannon. Now black would have managed to wrestle the initiative away because the threat of the elbow horse checkmate would be very evident and red would be in all sorts of trouble. So e3 plus 1 was sound, and black traded cannons, but after trading cannons, the horse will now be allowed to be developed at the riverbank and prepared to attack. And as can be seen, black's cannon would be alone in red's territory, and it would not be able to do much. In the match, a6 plus 5 was played. One might wonder, would a4 plus 5 would have been better? No, because red would now have the added threat of a spotted cannon checkmate. And because if originally, if red tried to capture the elephant, this cannon would take advantage and black would be spared. But in this situation, red would threaten to capture the black cannon first and forcing it to move away. But if it moved away, let's say c3 equals to 2, red would checkmate. So black would have to move his elephant or try to salvage the situation, but either way, the black cannon would be lost. So that is why a4 plus 5 cannot be played. But by playing a6 plus 5, the defense on this flank would be even further softened. So red will start to attack with r4 plus 3, preparing to play c5 equals to 3, e3+1. And as can be seen after trading material, Black was now prepared to play h3+2 for the elbow horse checkmate. And there was not much that Black could do about the situation. So, because seeing that it was futile to resist anymore, Master Liao Erping resigned. Now, in this match, short recap, perhaps the biggest blunder was Black's r8+1 in this situation, which resulted in a loss of tempo and allowed Red to gain tempi and make a few more moves. So, and after a battle after fighting on this file, Black will be able to let's go to the back of the end of the game. Red will be able to win in the battle and take control of attacking this file and also the bottom rank over here. So after trading material, Red will be prepared to go for a checkmate. Now there will be many other options for Red to consider, and the game was basically decided. So that was why Master Liao Erping resigned. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video tutorial, and if you like the work that I've been doing, please subscribe. Thank you.